Hi again everyone, and welcome back to the Gentry build. It's been about 6 months I think since I did my last video, but of course we've had winter to get through, and there was no way that I was going to do any work on this in the freezing cold. It's a hobby, I want to enjoy it, and I wouldn't enjoy it if I was freezing my nuts off. So I haven't done any work on this until I started again about a month ago. And yeah, I've done quite a bit in that last month, but probably not a huge amount if you just look at it in comparison to my last video, but it's all hidden, like a lot of stuff. So let me show you around. I'll take the camera off the tripod, and I'll show you around, and yeah, see you in a minute. Bye for now. Hello again. Right, let's start off at the front. Seems to be the logical place to start, and you will see straight away, hopefully from the previous video, that I've now put a different engine in it. Long story short is that the Vitesse engine I had, I part exchanged that for a Triumph TR6 engine, which is sitting over there. So what I've done, this was the original 1500 Triumph Spitfire 1500 engine, which I had with the chassis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to strip that down and rebuild it, put that in, and use it for a while I'm doing the TR6 engine up. It will solve a few problems in the fact that that engine belongs to this car, so that will help a lot with registration. I've got everything for it, it's all complete. I know it's partly stripped down, but I've got the water pump and everything over there, which I've taken off already. So this weekend I should be taking that out along with the gearbox and reconditioning this. I've already purchased, as you can see, a nice stainless steel exhaust, 4 into 2 into 1. That's been installed and is now sitting over the back there. Which fits very nicely. Yeah, so hopefully I should be taking this to a engine rebuilder local to me, who he races his own cars at Donington and Goodwood, and he rebuilds classic car engines to race spec. He won't be doing race spec on this, it'll just be standard. So he's got a lot of talent there. Oldish chap, he's about to retire, but he has said he'd do this one for me, so I've got a lot of faith in him. He's not going to rebuild it as such, he's going to rebore it, provide new pistons, rings, shells, etc., and give that back to me so that I can then rebuild it. The gearbox seems okay. I have got to check the rear seal on that. It doesn't leak, but I think I will change it anyway, just to be sure. And then I can pop that in, and we will have then a proper rolling chassis. And once I've got the carburetor set up and everything, I should then be able to try its first fire up and see how it goes. So we're not that far off. He reckons about a week to do the motor, so if I give it to him Tuesday, I should get it back to me by the following Tuesday, ready for me to start rebuilding. So I guess we're talking about a month, 6 weeks by the time I get that back in. The suspension hasn't changed since you've seen it last, that's all done and dusted. prop shaft. Right, I've renewed the prop shaft completely. I looked at the other one for two reasons. The other one was too long for this setup. It's okay for the TR6 engine, but it was too long for this setup. So I had a new one made up complete, and they've done a lovely job in it. They really have. It's absolutely superb. So it's apart from the yoke here and the yoke there, from there on it's all brand new. So brand new spline. The spline on the old one was worn, so I couldn't use that anyway. Strangely, the universal joints here were wrong as well, because the grease nipple was fouling the yoke along here. So that was a strange one. But obviously the universal joints were not the correct ones for it. So anyway, long story short, it was far easier just to get a new one made. And if you pause the video, that's the company who did it, and they are absolutely superb. That's all they do, is prop shafts. That's their sole business. So it's all been balanced, renewed and painted. There you can see the exhaust going underneath. All stainless. I've got to remanufacture the gearbox mount for that, because as you've seen before, I have put the engine 3.5 inches back from the original mounting position, which is here, but I've now mounted it 3.5 inches back by modifying the turrets. So that will help with the position of the gear lever. I still may have to extend it, I don't know yet. Until I get the body, then I won't know. Right, the back. The rear end. So this is the area I've been concentrating on over the last month or so, really. I wanted to get this right. Now over there, just there, is the old diff, which was in this, and I was never happy with it because when I got it, it was locked up totally. I managed to unlock it, but then it would lock up for no reason. So I thought, okay, well, I can't have that, so I will strip it. Well, when I stripped it, it was in a shocking mess inside. God knows what had been going on with it, but it was just completely, I don't know, it was weird stuff inside. It was like granules of stuff. I couldn't make out what it was. So no wonder it was locking up. Now whether it had been left outside for a long period of time or not, I don't know, but it was like small chunks of rounded rust, like pebbles, little pebbles of rust. Very weird stuff. So I thought, well, I don't want that. So I managed to get hold of a second-hand GT6 diff from a friend of mine, and I got that, stripped it down completely, renewed all the seals inside, renewed the bearings, and now it's a smoother seal. I mean, it wasn't that bad before. It's just a case of replacing the things which I thought needed replacing. And the biggest issue really for me were putting bearings on, because they're nearly all interference fits. Watching a few YouTube videos, the trick was to heat up one thing, the bearing, and shrink the actual shaft the bearing goes onto. So in other words, you put that part there in the freezer and you heat up the bearing which the bearing goes onto. And I did that, I put the bearing in the oven, much to my wife's disappointment. Put the 2 bearings in the oven and heated them up to about 300 degrees for about 20 minutes. I brought it out to the garage and you know, they just went straight on. After taking this part out of the freezer, again for about 20 minutes, didn't take long. And the bearing just slipped on. There was no hammering, nothing. And within 30 seconds they were on solid. So that was a good tip. That's gotten off. I was dreading doing that, but it worked out really well. So I did that for all the bearings, and it worked out really well. So there's a new oil seal here, just here as well. There's no gaskets or anything on there, but I'll put some gasket cement. I'll show you that. Bear with me, because this is brilliant stuff. And you may use it, I don't know. It's Permatex. And it's a brown, thick liquid which you paint on. And it's aerospace quality. And it seems to have done the trick, because I have absolutely no leaks on that. I filled it up with oil, which is the Dynalite, should I say, 85W oil, hypoid oil, and which is like treacle, and there's nothing leaking out at all, not a drop, and that's been like that for about 4 or 5 days now. So yeah, the diff now I think is hopefully all okay. It's silky smooth, doesn't make a noise. I preloaded as per normal this flange when I put it back, so that should be correct. Well, not should be, it is correct. And that's it. So I've finished the painting now all around here. That's all done. I've installed brand new brake shoes on the rear, brand new brake pads on the front. So these drums here are now fully finished, with new adjusters, new brake shoes, springs, everything. So that lot is now totally complete. I've installed the handbrake cable temporarily, this one here. I've installed that, but obviously I can't connect it up until the body goes on, and then that will connect to the compensation lever, which will then connect to the handbrake about here somewhere. So once the body is on, then I can then finally install that correctly. What else? Oh yeah, the brake lines, hydraulic brake lines I've installed. I'll show you that. So it's been quite a lot of work in this last month. So I've now installed all the hard lines. This one here curled up is for the master cylinder, which goes on the bulkhead. So I've just curled that up for now. I wasn't happy with the previous flexible lines I had on the front. They were far too short. So I've got some replacement braided lines for there. They give a lot more flex now. The other ones were far too short and very, very tight. So the hard lines are all in. Obviously that one there goes to the front, around to the other side, and then it then gets fed and goes along side of the chassis, clipped in along to the back, and connects up to this union here, which is where I may change it. Because I haven't got anything to go by, then it's a little bit of a guess, just to keep looking to see what people have done on theirs, on their videos, etc. Now at the moment, this is the pipe from the front, and I've got it at the moment going there from the back, sorry, from the front to the back, which I'm not keen on. I don't like that. But because I don't know how it went, then it's a guesswork. But I think this here is the bracket for holding that. There was a hole in this section of the chassis, and for the moment I have just put that through there. But I think what I'm going to do is to remove it from here and put it on there, because I think that is the correct position for this. And then I will just reroute this pipe, which goes over to that flexible cable, and it will just be turned, I think, through 90 degrees. Yeah, 90 degrees, and mount it on this bracket. I'll give it a go and see what happens, but I think, looking at it logically, that's how it goes. That should be here. I think it seems the more appropriate place to put it, and then I can reroute that pipe there more correctly. So that's it really. And the other thing is, I've now got hold of the build manual for the Gentry, and it does say in there, looking at it, to take out, this is a Spitfire, new Spitfire rear leaf spring, and it does say to take out a few leaves from here to make it a softer ride, because obviously the Gentry is a lot lighter, to make it a softer ride, which makes sense really, because I've got quite a bit of camber on these rear wheels at the moment, and I think if I take, say, that leaf and that leaf out and just have these three remaining, then I think that might solve the issue. But if I take that out and that out, then obviously I've got to cut this down and maybe get shorter studs. These are the extended studs because I've got the 1-inch lowering block here. I think this sort of thing is really I can only decide upon once I've got the body on, and I can see what kind of weight I'm dealing with, how much it lowers it. But at the moment that's very, very stiff, that spring, because it's new. There's hardly any give in that. So I think taking these two leaves out will tend to help that and make it a bit softer. What I don't want is to drive this thing along and it feels like a skateboard. I want it a bit more comfortable than that. So it's a case of suck it and see on that. I mean, if it's too much, taking those two leaves out, although according to the manual, that's what it says, then I can always put them back in again. But I think that's probably my next job, is to have a look at that leaf spring and make a few modifications to it. So all I'm really waiting for, these are quite small jobs now in comparison to what I have done. So I'm now really waiting on John Burrows to deliver the body to me, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, he's not going to be far off. He did send me some photos of what he's done so far, and it looks pretty much there. There's still work to be done on it, which he may have done during the course of the week, I don't know. So I think it's imminent, but hopefully in a week or so I might have a body for this. Then I can really start cracking on. I'm starting to run out of things to do. I'm not too worried about the engine. I can do the engine with the body on or off. That's no issue. It'll be easier with it off, admittedly, but I can still do that. So there we go. So there's a good update for you of how things have progressed over the last month or so. I'll say I've not worked on it since, I think it was November was the last time I did any serious work on it, but it got so cold that there was no way. So when it gets like that, I'll go on to my other hobby, which is my model railway. But now I'm back on this again. Thoroughly enjoying it too. But it's looking okay, I'm really pleased with it. Okay, so I'm starting to waffle now, so I'll stop. Hopefully that's given you some idea of the progress of this, and in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, then there might be a major update, hopefully with the body temporarily on, to give me an idea of where things go, how things should be and so forth. Very difficult at the moment without the body. Okay, so that's it for now. So hopefully I will speak to you again in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Okay, so bye for now, folks, and keep safe. Bye.